Good morning, everybody. How are you? Happy Sunday. I'd like to start off by saying first that today is September 16th, 2018. And it is I think I said third year anniversary online earlier today, but 2016, 2017, 18. It is the second year anniversary of what I refer to as the Day of New Light. And it was a moment in my life on September 16th, 2016 at 8:06 p.m. that I got the validation, the proof that I needed, the answer to a very deep, long question. Questions? Question. Because they all kind of formed into one question. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Is there more to life than just this? And I know that's 4 different questions, but in the whole scheme of my existence, it's really one type of projected thought that I've had my entire life. And as I mentioned on September 16, 2016, that was answered. And if you are interested in reading about that event in great detail, here on the site, on the home tab, you'll see a section that says spiritual resources or resources. If you click on that, inside there will be spiritual writings. The writings don't have titles for each one because I really wanted people just to kind of be curious and click on them rather than see the title and be let in. Don't judge a book by its cover, right? It's exactly what I want them to do, to see if it feels, if it draws them in. Regardless, there's one that's a nighttime sky with a starburst right on it, and if you click on that one, it will fully explain the entire experience and how amazing it was. And today, as I mentioned, is the anniversary. I don't know why I thought it was the 3rd year anniversary. It's the 3rd time. There was the original event, the 1 year anniversary, and now it's the 3rd time it's happening. So I'm just looking forward to that. I don't expect anything to happen, of course, but I like to go outside, stand in that specific spot at that specific time, look up and give thanks. What happened to me from 2016 until very recent was the complete dissolving of fear. Of course, if my child is walking up on a bunch of rocks and it's very dangerous, I'm going to be nervous. And I'm not talking about common sense, logical things to be afraid of. There's a big great white shark right there in the water. Don't go jumping into it. I'm not talking about things like, oh, I'd be afraid to swim with the shark. Things that are life-threatening and putting your life at risk like that. That's a different type of fear. That's that adrenaline. That's that athleticism. That's that, X sports, X games type of mentality. And I'm not talking about that. If that's you skydiving and doing all these crazy fear things and fear-based things to get an adrenaline and a kick out of life, well, then, that's your choice. I'm talking about fear. As a young child, I had my questions and desires and dreams and goals, and I had dreams and goals, very strong dreams and goals. I was a martial artist at a very young age, and for a very long time into my teens, I really thought that martial arts was going to be my path, teaching martial arts or doing something with martial arts. I was very interested in acting, and I was a musician. I've been playing drums since 13 years old. I started martial arts at about 7. I've been playing drums since I'm 13 years old. Drums for a very long period of my life. All my life, they've been with me since that time, always, but there have been moments in my life where drums have been very prominent. Bands I've been in, negotiating record labels. It was one of the reasons I ended up in Connecticut was I was in a band in New York and we were negotiating and things fell apart and the band kind of dissolved and I just had enough of the nonsense. Regardless, all these dreams, desires, but there was always something underneath all that really prevented me from accomplishing them, from obtaining my dreams and my desires. And it really came down to fear. It came down to fear. To live without fear, for me now is I don't even have the intelligence to find the words to express how liberating it feels, how much lighter I physically feel, spiritually, mentally, and physically, just much lighter. And as I mentioned, of course, you don't want something bad happen to your children. You don't want things bad to happen, but we can't live in fear of those things happening. Of course, in the event of the action, there's my son climbing the tree. Oh my gosh, he's going to fall, right? That's a different type of fear. But instead of thinking about it happening, right, that's another type of fear. If I'm sitting in my house today, tomorrow I'm going to the park with my son, and oh God, he's going to go climb the monkey bars. What if he falls off? You're just creating all sorts of craziness, and we're about to get there. So to live without fear, we first have to really understand what type of fear you have. And most of us don't realize it, but we have a massive amount of fear and a great diversity of fear. Now, throughout these videos, throughout these sessions, I am continuously going to come back to these types of conversations about fear and hate and all of these things, because these are the things we have to start losing. These literally taking out of our existence, out of our dialogue, out of our teachings, out of our projections. We have to start removing things in order to truly fix the projected perspective that makes our collective consciousness. Because it's so far damaged that even when we think we're doing the right thing and we think we're doing good, there's still these things that are underlying there that are still interfering with the clarity of that projection. So, to understand that we have all types of fear, fear is not just this person's going to beat me up or hurt me, this person's going to leave me and I'm going to be alone, something's going to happen to my children, I can't pay my bills. There is anxiety, there is stress, there is depression, there is rage, there is anger, there is just sadness, there is just absolute glum. There is horrifying fear. There is trauma. There is just debilitating fear in some people that they can't even leave their homes. They can't get up. So we have to first understand what kind of fear do we have. So me, going back to my life, what was this fear that I wasn't accomplishing my dreams and desires? What was it that was stopping me dead in my tracks? What type of fear was stopping me dead in my tracks that I just couldn't do it, that I gave up? I gave up. Fear of, it's a beautiful bird singing out right now. Fear of failure. Fear of failure. Fear of failure. I grew up in a very odd home, very abusive, very loud, very chaotic. But even my dad, my father, and at a very young age, before I realized that he was completely damaged, even at a young age, instead of encouraging and inspiring a child, like I tell my children, look, if you try and you work hard, you could do anything you want. If you exercise, you could do this. If you do this, it's not just going to happen. Dust isn't going to come sprinkling down upon you and pa-pa, here you are. You've got to create your reality, create your path, create your existence. And we do that as parents by supporting, inspiring, and contributing to our child's development. My dad was the kind of guy, oh, you're a spaz. You can't do that. Oh, look, you don't even know what you're doing. I could have been doing something absolutely letter A perfect, but he had to break me down. He came from that Bronx mentality, that Navy mentality, that bully mentality, a bully. The way you build a man up is by beating on him and bullying him and breaking down his spirit and turning him into some misguided masculine projection that's honestly completely responsible for the way the world is. It's that misguided male perspective that my dad had and probably people in your family have and coworkers and stuff. It's that dominant me, I'm the man, it's my world, a man's world, rah, 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 get him out of my way, beat him up, kill him, shoot him, take it, steal it, make it, duh. It's just asinine, right? So this is where I came from. So I had this fear of failure. All my life, a fear of failure. And I never had that support and contribution from my parents to really go and push. Now my mom on the other hand, was supportive in those ways. She did want me to do those things, but it was so she could just take off and go do what she wants and have freedom. She truly did care in her own odd way. She did, but it was total abandonment and left on my own to try and do these things. You know, the room to grow, the room to breathe, the freedom. Great. My friends thought it was great, man. That, you know, I had a house to myself at 12, 13, 14 years old and stuff, and it sucked, man. And being alone and having a parents that did this to you made you feel alone, made you feel isolated, a sister who blamed everything she did on you, and she was 5 years older than you, and they just listened to her. Anytime you tried to express your truth, your reality, you were shut down. He's just making up stories, he's imagining. So my whole world was just crushed around me, collapsed. And what I did is I imploded. I sucked it all in. And because of the abandonment, the loneliness, the discouragement, the bullying, the abuse, I never even learned how to try, to really push, to get out there and really make my dreams come true. So I had fear of failure, anxiety, stress, and all these things. And as I started to grow older, certain things worrying and stress about bills. I learned at a very young age that me freaking out, causing a chaotic situation that I can't pay my electric bill or I can't pay my rent, isn't going to help pay my rent. Creating more stress, creating more worry, yelling, getting frenzy and all that stuff doesn't make any situation any better. Family-wise, work-wise, personally. If you're projecting that, you're screwing up the clarity right off the bat. You're pushing the resolution even further away by aggressively reacting to things, by spontaneously and emotionally reacting to things without calming yourself and pulling yourself in and controlling yourself. So that first thing, what type of fear you have, you've really got to look at yourself and understand and analyze and look up words. What does anxiety mean? What does stress really mean? What does depression really mean? Start educating, and I'm not saying this to offend anyone, start educating yourself and really use this device for information. Look up these things: depression, fear, anxiety, loneliness, horror, trauma. Fear. Just look up these and see what the words are and start to understand how certain aspects of your life, things that happened to you long ago, things that happened to you from your friends, your parents, how they did things, right? Actions happened around us. My parents did things. My friends did things. I saw things on TV. I just experienced things. These things happen around us. But what we do is we let this outside come inside. Rather than letting our inside be the strong thing that views our outside, we let the outside world come in. And this starts to form that misguided ego, the corrupted ego. Because once we start to feel inadequate, once we start to feel alone, once we start to feel depressed, once we don't feel loved the way we want to feel, once we don't feel respected the way we think we want to be, once we're not treated the way we truly want to treat others, we start to collapse inside. We fall apart. We darken. Our light diminishes. We've let the outside world completely change who we are. And what we've done now is we've let those actions and events start to create thoughts inside of our mind. And those thoughts create more emotions inside. And now we live in this internal world because we can't connect with anybody on the outside, because we live in fear. And when we do connect with those on the outside, it's always snapping at them and impatience and aggression and just frustration. Because inside, we're gone, we're lost. We buy things, we look for things, we need things, we want things to hide. We drink things, we smoke things, we shoot things, we take things to hide, to truly hide inside. We're hiding inside looking at this world. We're not even seeing clearly with our eyes. We're seeing through our distorted soul and our energy. What we see around us isn't truly what's around us, because that damage inside us is making us see and hear things that aren't there. We're perceiving people's words and actions completely different because of the damage inside of us. So where your fear comes from, what causes your fear is one aspect, but bringing your fear inside you and accepting it is what destroys you. Think of that. We accept these things around us. This is the way it is. It is what it is. How many times have you heard that absolutely horrid statements? Now, yeah, of course, there are moments where it is what it is. But to say that, to accept that, to project that is damaging to your life. You are shutting down your creative energy and the force that you are. You're not the body, you're the energy inside. How do you breathe? How do you breathe? No, I don't mean in and out. How do you breathe? Do you think about breathing? Do you force yourself to breathe? No. Your energy breathed the vessel. Your energy, you, us, it. To let the outside world really come inside and damage us this way is completely wrong. So we have to accept that. We have to accept that even though things happened around us that were bad, damaging, wrong, horrifying, traumatic, we let them change us. Case in point, my mother sexually abuses me as a child. Now today, 45 years later, I'm afraid to get close to somebody. I don't want to touch somebody. I don't want to hear certain words because it reminds me of that. You were pushed into water when you were just a child and you almost drowned. Now, 35 years later, you still have this fear of water. The water's nothing to be afraid of, right? There's nothing else creating this fear. There's nothing making you relive this moment every single day, every moment of the day. There's nothing making you live inside this fear except your thoughts. Accept this all as truth. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Even if today you're recreating that fear from 30 years ago, it's not your fault. Because 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 minutes ago, you were living in a world full of misguided perspectives. One dominated by this absolutely corrupted male perspective, this masculine dominant energy that has changed everything around us. We've got this emergence of this feminine energy right now, and even some of that is being misguided. You see the feminine energy is rising within men, within women, and we're all uniting with love, but then you have this feminine aspect where they're going, rah, it's our time to take over, rah, rah, rah. All that feminine energy is doing is taking the male perspective and incorporating it to their own, and now breaching out and reaching out with that power. And again, that's a misguided perspective. So we truly have to be so careful with all these things that we're seeing, hearing, feeling, and tasting, and touching, and accepting all day, because they play into our fears. Our perspective. Perspective. I say this word all the time. Our perspective projects an energy. That energy that is projected is received by others, processed, mixed with theirs, and re-projected out. So we are receiving our own. We're receiving Bob's, Jane's, Mary's, the dog, the fleas, the skies, the moons, everything. We've got all this going through us, but still, we're not seeing with our true perspective because it's gone. We were so misguided, so corrupted. Even those families that were full of love and all this stuff, there are things we incorporate on a daily basis that is not love. That is fear and hate. The mass slaughtering of animals alone is absolutely fear projected. If you sit down and think I'm nuts, educate yourself. Spend 10 minutes watching the plethora of information out there on animal slaughter, and screw what the humans are doing. Forget what we are doing to the animals. Listen to the screams of the animals. Look at the fear in their eyes, because you know what you'll see? Your own reflection staring back at you. We're no different, only another vessel. So everything we do in our life today enables and helps and holds and solidifies that fear that's inside us already. And get this, as I mentioned, sexual abuse as a child, or almost drowning as a child, or being bullied, or being afraid to go outside because of an event. I'm literally taking my conscious mind that is here today, and I am time traveling back to an age 30, 40, 20, 15 years ago to another event in another part of time. I am taking that memory, I am taking that event. I time traveled consciously, not physically. I time traveled consciously. I'm taking this event now and I'm bringing it here into my present world, and now I am seeing once again today through those damaged eyes. And that is the key to why you are living in fear, because we are constantly losing sight and strength of our mindful awareness, of our truth. We are letting our thoughts, we are letting our mushy-gushy processing computer upstairs travel through time willingly, pick horrific events, negative events that have happened in our life, and bring those up today. Your spouse cheated on you 20 years ago. You forgave them. Your life is going great, but today, 40 years later, for some reason, you want to think about that event. Okay, you've now brought that event back into your present life, and what happens? You're now acting, treating, and reacting to that person as if that event just happened today. You might not even be aware of it, but you are in that energy. You are in that era, that time. So, that aspect, the loss of thought, or the engagement of thought, is what is killing you from losing fear. There's no such thing as fear. There is absolutely nothing to be afraid of. Don't be afraid of drowning. Don't be afraid of your mother or father or somebody abusing you today or something. Don't be afraid of these things. There's nothing to be afraid of. The only thing you are afraid of is a thought. You are thinking of things to be afraid of, projecting future events. Oh my God, if I go on that airplane, it's going to crash into a mountain. I'm not going. I'm not going on vacation. You've traveled into the future, created an imaginary event, you brought it back to your present moment, and now you are living your present moment based on that event or based on that event. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Am I making sense? Am I getting through to you? Are we going to start sharing these videos like a madman, start making them go viral so we can truly start helping people? Are we going to start contacting the yoga studios in our area and saying, hey man, you need to invite this guy to come speak at the studio. He'll do it for free. Your church, your synagogue, a hospital. Everyone we know lives in some sort of fear. Everyone we know slips out of their mindfulness awareness each day. My life's not perfect, but it's great. It's great. I manifest and create and I'm in love. My wife, my children, the music, you. I have no complaints. I have so much stuff to do from the moment I open my eyes to the moment I lay my head down on a pillow at night. I am continuously doing something all day long. House projects, recording for an album, getting ready for this, doing this, all this stuff. But I'm happy. And I'm not afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. You have to let go of that fear. You have to let go of time traveling, and you have to fight. You have to be conscious of your conscious mind, and you have to let your celestial energy be pure by consciously be conscious of what you are aware of and thinking and perceiving and projecting. And you have to fight, and you have to fight inside constantly to remind yourself, because the only way to do it is to fake it. Not fake it till you make it. Fake it till you become it. Every single day, wake up playing the new part. This is who you want to be? You want to be this type of person? Then tomorrow, damn it, you wake up and play the part of that person. Forget the character you've been, because you're only playing a part right now. And you're not playing the part you came here to experience. Let go of fear. Fight it and fake it until you become the pure being you were meant to be. I'll see you Wednesday night, everybody. Have an absolutely amazing day. And tonight, 8:06 p.m., if you feel that vibration, 8:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you feel that vibration, that's just me. That's just me looking up at the sky and thanking God, our creator, the source, the universe, you, for enabling me to be here and experience the world finally, that I came to experience. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.